Hello YouTube, we've got Gegard Mousasi versus Uriah Hall number 2. They said this fight's going to happen, so I thought I'd make a video on it. I think this is a really bad idea for Gegard to take this fight. Why? There's no point. There's absolutely no point. Gegard Mousasi lost to Uriah Hall. There's no shame in losing to Uriah Hall. He says it was a fluke. Yeah, probably is a fluke. If those two were to fight 10 times, Gegard would probably win 8 out of 10 times. That's just me speculating. You know? So he's probably going to win the rematch. But this is a terrible fight for him, because if he beats Uriah Hall, you know, what does that... This doesn't tell anybody. It tells you that Gegard Mousasi is better than Uriah Hall. We already know he's better than Uriah Hall. I said there's no shame in the losing to Uriah Hall, because Uriah Hall could knock out anybody at any time. That's his style. He's very explosive. You know, he could go in there and, like, if he went in there with Michael Bisping and knocked him out, would you be surprised? You wouldn't. We all know he's capable of doing it. Is he the greatest fighter in the division? No, he's not. But the reason I say this is such a bad fight for Gegard Mousasi is because if Gegard loses this fight, that's going to really screw him up. Gegard Mousasi is on the brink of basically being the champion in the division. All these guys are a lot older. He's still young. He's super talented, super skilled. And now with the drug testing, you know, he's saying that how he's going to benefit from this, which is basically tells us he hasn't been taking drugs, and plus with his age, I mean, what Gegard Mousasi has done in his career is pretty amazing. He has wins over guys that you would be like, what the heck is going on? And if you go back and watch Gegard Mousasi, he never even really takes damage. He's got so many wins and doesn't even take damage. I mean, he's been there with Melvin Manhoff, took no damage. I mean, that's remarkable. So Gegard Mousasi is on his way to being the UFC champion. I mean, he came into the UFC and it was a little bit disappointing. I mean, we had to watch him with Machida, you know, and he was getting frustrated. And unfortunately, that's kind of what we're seeing in MMA. You know, guys that can't beat certain fighters, like, okay, we'll just run away from him. And that's really sad to see that. But Gegard Mousasi, he's got a really bright future. I could see him being the champion. He really just has to win a couple fights and then boom, get a title shot. I would have much rather seen Gegard Mousasi versus Luke Rockhold. But you all know Luke Rockhold's not going to want that fight. Nobody wants to fight Gegard. They don't, because they know what he's capable of. The only guys that are going to want to fight Gegard Mousasi are people that are ranked below him that want to move up. You know, somebody like Uriah Hall. So this is a really bad fight for Gegard. I know he's taking it because he wants to get that win back, but it's completely pointless. It's a completely pointless fight. We already know Gegard's better than Uriah Hall. We know he's more talented. There's no shame in that loss. Just take your loss and leave it. You know, just leave it at that. It's like Nick Diaz, you know, beat Conor McGregor. It's like, I'm not Nick, Nate Diaz beat Conor McGregor. He should have just left it at that, man. Just leave it alone. You know, Conor McGregor's smart. He beat Jose Aldo in what, 13 seconds or 11 seconds or something? You don't see him going back for a rematch. Why? Why? You can't do any better than that. And it's like, so anyway, this is a terrible fight. This is kind of the opposite of that. Like, this is a terrible fight for Gegard. If he loses this, man, it's really going to sideline him. He's going to knock him way back down. And I'm not saying he can't work his way back up, but this is not the fight that I want to see. He will probably win the fight though, so but man, it's just like, it's a lot of risk. It's a lot of risk and you know, really no reward. It's not really going to move him up anywhere. So I could see him taking on a short notice, like something happened, hey, you want to come in and fight Uriah Hall? Okay. You know what I mean? Just show up and take the fight. That would make more sense. But you know, the wait through all the training camp and then there's a fight. I mean, it's a lot of months go by. Like it's like these guys, they're not getting any younger. I feel like Gegard is, you know, I mean, is he in his prime? I don't know. We'll have to see, you know, how his fight style is going to kind of work with these guys in the UFC. I think when he came to the UFC, he was lagging a little bit in his skill level. And what I'm talking about is by not being in the UFC, at this point in time, most of the best fighters are in the UFC. It wasn't like that years ago, but he took him a while to make it to the UFC, and you know, he's coming to the UFC, still getting maybe UFC jitters, and you know, and then you got guys running away. You know, nobody was doing that in other organizations, so he's kind of had to play catch up in how to deal with this, and then now with the drug testing, I think Gegard is going to do pretty good in the UFC, and he may even become champion. Like I could totally see Gegard and Mousasi versus Michael Bisping, and Gegard beating Michael Bisping. In fact, he probably would, and he might even be the favorite. Although Michael Bisping is doing pretty good, looking good, but like Gegard even pointed out, Michael Bisping just beat Dan Henderson in a 5-round fight. Gegard took care of Dan Henderson like that. So it's really kind of screwed up. But this is what some losses will do. He's like, oh, I'm not getting my props. But it's because you're losing. He lost to Machida. He lost to Uriah Hall. That was a really, really tough loss for him. So why would you want to come and go through that loss again? This is a really kind of a disappointing fight. But hopefully he's going to win the fight and he can move on. If you guys can't tell, I am a big Gegard Mousasi fan. Have been for many, many years. I'll see you guys later.